tayo ng math-aral. Sa math, walang maiiwan. Math-sayang math-aral tayo ng math-tuto, upang ika'y umasenso. Maging matyaga, maging matalino, halina math-aral na tayo. Maging matyaga, maging matalino, halina math-aral na tayo. Halina math-aral na tayo. Halina math-aral na tayo. Halina, 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 math-aral na tayo.
Isang mapagpala at masayang araw sa ating lahat. Mga guro, magulang, home learning partners, mga batang mandunong, lalong-lalo na sa mga Ahisians. Welcome to Project SOAR, series of online academic reviews of mathematics, CLAID Learning Modules. Ako si Ma'am Shina, guro ng ika-5 baitang sa Addition Hills Integrated School. At ako ang inyong magiging math buddy para sa Mathematics 5, Quarter 4, Week 2 ngayong linggo. Halina, samahan niyo ako. Tayo ng Math-tuto. We are now in Mathematics 5, Quarter 4, Week 2. Our objectives for today's lesson are the following. Visualize the volume of a cube and rectangular prism. Name the appropriate unit of measure used for measuring the volume of a cube and a rectangular prism. Convert cubic centimeter to cubic meter, as well as cubic centimeter to liter and vice versa. Before we proceed to our new lesson, let us have first a review. What solid figure resembles to the objects on the screen? You have 5 seconds to answer. The correct answer is very good. A cylinder has 2 circular bases, no edge, and no vertex. What about these? The answer is there are 6 faces of a cube, and they are all squares. Next, the correct answer is cone. A cone has a circular base and a vertex. What about these objects? These objects resemble a triangular prism. Triangular prism is a polyhedron made of 2 triangular bases and 3 rectangular sides. Lastly, these are sphere. A sphere has a curved surface without a base. Good job, kids! Now, let us study visualizing the volume of a cube and a rectangular prism. What kind of solid figure is the container? Very good. It is a rectangular prism. If we will fill the container with cubes, how many would fit in? Can you guess? Let's find out. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are 16 cubes in the container. When we get the total number of cubes that would fill in the container, what we have looked for is its volume. Volume is the number of cubic units in an object. This one small cube represents 1 cubic unit. There are 16 cubes in the container. That means the volume of the rectangular container is 16 cubic units. You know what, class? We can get the volume of a rectangular prism without counting all the cubic units. Paano? Mas dali lang yan. Just multiply its dimensions. Solid figures like rectangular prism has 3 dimensions, namely length, width, and height. To find the volume, multiply the number of cubes in its row or the length, the number of cubes in its column or the width, and the number of cubes in its layer or the height. We now have the formula V is equal to L times W times H. Now, let us substitute the values. How many cubes are there in its length? What about in its width? In its height? Now let us multiply. 4 units times 2 units is equal to 8 square units. 8 square units times 2 units is equal to 16 cubic units. Therefore, the volume of the rectangular prism is 16 cubic units. Let us have another figure. To find the volume, we have the formula V is equal to L times W times H. Next, we are going to substitute. How many cubes are there in its length? Very good, we have 3 units. What about on its width? It is also 3 units. What about in its height? 4 units. Now let us multiply. 3 units times 3 units is equal to 9 square units. 9 square units times 4 units is equal to 36 cubic units. Therefore, the volume of the rectangular prism is 36 cubic units. To check if our answer is correct, let us unfill the box. Each one layer is equivalent to 9 cubic units, so we are going to count 9, 18, 27, 36. So the volume of the figure is 36 cubic units. I know you can do it. This time, you try. Find the volume of the prism. You have 5 seconds to answer. The volume of the rectangular prism is 12 cubic units. Next one. The volume of the figure is 20 cubic units. Di ba madali lang? Let's have this figure. What kind of solid figure is this? Very good. This is a cube. Let us fill this figure with cubes to find its volume. Please count the cubes. How many cubes are there in all? Alright, there are 27 cubes in the figure. It means that the volume of the cube is 27 cubic units. As you can see, the measurement of the length, width, and height are equal. Thus, to find the volume of a cube, we use the formula V is equal to S cubed, or V is equal to S times S times S, where S means side. Let us substitute the values. Each side has 3 units, so we have 3 units times 3 units times 3 units. That is equal to 27 cubic units. Now, it's your turn. Find the volume of the figure. You have 5 seconds to answer. What is the volume of the cube? Very good. The volume is 8 cubic units. Next one. What is its volume? Very good. The volume of the cube is 64 cubic units. How did we get 64 cubic units? We simply multiply the sides of the cube. 4 units times 4 units times 4 units is equal to 64 cubic units. Mahusay mga batang mandunong! We are now in Competency 2. This time, we will study about the appropriate unit of measure used for measuring the volume of a cube and a rectangular prism. In the International System of Units or SI, the standard unit of volume is the cubic meter. Cubic decimeter, cubic centimeter, and cubic millimeter are also included in the metric system. When do we use this unit of measure? We use cubic meter to measure large amount of space occupied, like lockers and classrooms. Objects that do not occupy a very large amount of space, like personal refrigerator, storage box, and a small study table, the unit of measure we can use to measure the volume is cubic decimeter. Smaller objects like boxes and blocks, we can use the unit cubic centimeter to measure the volume. In objects that occupy a very small space, the unit of measure that we can use to get the volume is the cubic millimeter. Try to answer this activity. Name the unit of measure appropriate to get the volume of the following. The unit of measure we can use cubic centimeter. Next object. The unit of measure appropriate to lunch boxes is cubic centimeter. Very good. Next one. In washing machines, the unit of measure we can use is cubic decimeter. What about this bedroom? The appropriate unit of measure is... Good job! Next one. What about this pool? The unit of measure that is appropriate to get the volume of the pool is... Very good! tayo mga batang mandunong. Now, let's move on to our third competency. Converts cubic centimeter to cubic meter, as well as cubic centimeter to liter and vice versa. How do we convert? We convert from a higher to a smaller unit or from a smaller to a higher unit. Let us start with converting cubic meter to cubic centimeter. We know that meter is a higher unit than centimeter. In converting from a higher unit to a smaller unit, we use multiplication. Let's have this example. How many cubic centimeters are there in 4 cubic meters? To answer the problem, we have to know how many cubic centimeters are there in 1 cubic meter. What are we going to do? First, start with the conversion from meter to centimeter. In 1 meter, there is 100 centimeters. The unit used is in cube, so we are going to multiply 1 meter 3 times as well as 100 centimeters 3 times. So 1 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter, that is equivalent to 1 cubic meter. 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters, that is equal to 1 million cubic centimeters. Now we have the conversion factor. 1 cubic meter is equivalent to 1 million cubic centimeters. Since we are converting from a higher to a smaller unit, we are going to multiply. So we have 4 times 1 million is equal to 4 million. That means, in 4 cubic meters, there is 4 million cubic centimeters. Let's have another example. How many cubic centimeters are in 6 cubic meters? We have the conversion factor. Now we are going to multiply. 6 times 1 million is equal to 6 million. 6 cubic meters is equal to 6 million cubic centimeters. Now it's your turn. How many cubic centimeters are in 2 cubic meters? You have 5 seconds to answer. In 2 cubic meters, there is 2 million cubic centimeters. Now let's move on to converting cubic centimeter to cubic meter. This time, we are converting from a smaller to a higher unit. In converting from a smaller to a higher unit, we use division. For example, how many cubic meters are in 500,000 cubic centimeters? This is our conversion factor. Since we are converting a smaller unit to a higher unit, we will divide. 500,000 divided by 1 million is equal to 500 millions. We can cancel the tailing zeros, so we have 5 tenths. In 500,000 cubic centimeters, there is 5 tenths cubic meter. Next example. How many cubic meters are in 70,000 cubic centimeters? Again, this is our conversion factor. 70,000 divided by 1 million. The quotient is, we can remove the tailing zeros, so we have 700 cubic meter. Now you try. How many cubic meters are in 1,000 cubic centimeters? You have 5 seconds to answer. The correct answer is In 1,000 cubic centimeters, there is 1,000 cubic meter. Now, let's move on to converting liter to cubic centimeter. Again, we will use multiplication since we are converting a higher to a smaller unit. Example, how many cubic centimeters are in 2 and 1800 liters? We will use this conversion factor. In 1 liter, there is 1,000 cubic centimeters. 2 and 1800s multiplied by 1,000, the product is 2,180. Therefore, in 2 and 1800s liters, there is 2,180 cubic centimeters. Now, you try. How many cubic centimeters are there in 5 liters? You have 5 seconds to answer. In 5 liters, there is 5,000 cubic centimeters. This time, we are going to convert a smaller unit to a higher unit. Cubic centimeter to liter. How many liters are in 7,158 cubic centimeters? We have this conversion factor. In 1 liter, there is 1,000 cubic centimeters. What are we going to do? Are we going to multiply or divide? Correct. We are going to divide since we are converting a smaller unit to a higher unit. So we have 7,158 divided by 1,000. The answer is, in 7,158 cubic centimeters, there is 7 and 158 thousandths liters. Now your turn. How many liters are in 56,541 cubic centimeters? (56,541) divided by 1,000, that is equivalent to 56 and 541 thousandths liters. Mahusay mga batang mandunong! Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood. Nawa ay marami kayong natutunan sa aralin ito. Nais ko ring pasalamatan ang ating mahusay na supervisor, Sir Resty Rodelas, sa aming supportive na school principal, Ma'am Gigi G. Bulyanday, sa aming masipag na math coordinator in elementary, Sir Mariano B. Saraos, mga kapwa ko guro, mga batang AHISians. Muli, ako si Ma'am Shina. Ilagay sa ating isipan, sipnayan, madali lang yan.